Welcome, everybody. It is 8 o'clock and time to get started. Thank you for showing up so early and being ready for tonight's webinar on the brain advancement team. Tonight I'm going to be going through some slides with you that will show you what the brain training is all about, how to become a coach, some results that people have had. There's plenty of time for questions. If your microphone is not working and you're not able to give me a verbal question, I do want you to feel free to write questions in the chat box, and I will be sure and answer them. Okay, so the goal of the brain advancement team and the training is to raise the potential of the human brain for regular people by regular people. In other words, you don't have to be a neuroscientist. Okay, our trainers range from parents to individuals to teachers to occupational therapists, and we've had some doctors, we've had psychologists, we've had people from all different arenas, but that you do not have to be a certain type of person to go through this training and provide it for others. So to go through this training, first of all, you get trained by us, and to become a brain advancement coach, you get trained by us. The cost is $750, but there is a $100 discount before midnight tomorrow night. You would pay for the cost of materials beyond that, and it's a maximum of about $600. And you get a list. You'll be able to shop for the best deals. And we do want you to get guaranteed results to be a trainer. In other words, we need you to have significant growth in at least one cognitive skill within the 4 months of training. You will be taking a test before and after, and you actually will be trained. I will act as the model, and I will train you, and so that within the 4 months you should have improvements. You must work on training your own brain 5 to 7 hours a week, and the pre and post testing will show efficacy. It will show you that this works, and the people who have stuck to it and made a commitment have had amazing results. So you, the coach, you're a product of this product. So the training consists of different areas. We've got primitive reflex integration. We've got listening therapy, some visual training, and cognitive training. It's a 4-month program, an hour a day, 5 to 7 days a week. In the first month that you get trained, you will be doing primitive reflexes, listening, and vision. And this is to set up your body and your brain so that you can have a better ability to go through the cognitive training. So the cognitive training is things like improving memory and attention, processing speed, and reasoning skills. But if you don't have the best vision or visual processing and auditory processing, it would be more difficult. So we set up the brain, we set up the body, we set up the sensory system in that first month of training. So who else is doing this? Well, no one except individual learning centers like Equipping Minds with Carol Brown. Um, they're the only ones who are giving training like we're talking about. This training, like should you decide to be a coach who coaches a lot of different people, this is really, really unique. It's extremely effective. And it is the most cost-effective way to get individualized training, whether we're talking about training you or we're talking about training your future students or children. So who can be trained? Basically anybody. So you have to go through the training first and you have to complete the requirements. But beyond that, we've got teachers, OTs, like I said, all these different people. Um, So any of these people can become trainers. You simply have to go the through the 4-month training period. So let's say that you are thinking about becoming a coach, that you want to develop a business or add this to your existing business. Who would your customers be? Well, people with learning disabilities, whether they're young or they're old. People with a traumatic brain injury or concussion or stroke, veterans, retired people, baby boomers, homeschoolers, families of those with dementia or who don't want dementia or who have dementia. Cognitive training is recommended by um, Albany Medical Center in their cognitive decline area. So the people who come in, they suggest that there are many things they can do, but the cognitive training, brain training, is one of the tools. So let's go over cost real quickly. Your materials and games you purchase on your own. We'll give you a list. It's about $380. Um, there's a vision program that is online that costs $20 a month. We only ask you to do that for 1 month. If you have a need, you might do it for longer. And same thing with the listening therapy. It's $35 a month, and we only request that you do it 30 for 1 month. But if you've got additional issues with auditory processing, you might want to do it for longer. So our training, it's 36 hours of very specific training. And that's worth like $900. We're charging only $750. This includes the Maintaining Brains Every Day DVD and pre and post testing. So your total investment is approximately $1,185. Now, of course, that depends on how much you spend on your materials and games. But there's a discount of $100 before tomorrow at midnight. So let's say that you become a coach or you're working with your student. What is the best way to work with them? Wow, the results that I've seen and that my coaches have seen are just amazing. And, um, I'm not sure what I put there. I think I should not have put that. Guaranteed or continue training until results are seen. No, no. I'm sorry. That was something I should not have put in there. Uh, Results are never guaranteed. All I can say is um, the results have been fantastic. Um, this model is necessary if you want to overcome learning disabilities. And you may be a little shocked that somebody could actually overcome them, but I've seen it. I've done that many times, helping somebody improve their brain so much that their IQ score raises by 20 points, where they have gotten out of special ed and onto the high honor roll. This is not unheard of from this particular process. We improve processing speed, working memory, reasoning, attention. So what does it look like? Day 1, we do a pretest. Month 1, you spend doing maintaining brains, vision program, listening therapy, adding in exercise and diet. This is done on the students basically do that on their own, but with coaching support by the coach. Although I have some coaches who the families do not do it on their own. They don't follow through, and so instead the coach works with them that first month as well. And then the next 3 months, you work an hour a day, 5 days a week with the coach, and you actually do one-on-one brain training. It is so powerful. Then the last day, you do a post-test. What you would charge the student is for their materials. The coach also charges, hopefully, I ask that you do this, you charge tutoring rates instead of professional rates. After all, you're working 5 hours a week for 12 weeks. So that's condensed, but your income is good. And so you kind of have to look at what tutoring rates are in your area. And if you can charge that, that would be great. Because otherwise, you are or at least the family is looking at thousands and thousands of dollars. And there is a franchise program out there that charges something like $14,000 for 3 months. And to me, that takes it out of the ability for the usual person to be able to handle. They have to get a mortgage or something like that. And it's also what they do is not as extensive as what we do because they don't include reflexes and auditory. So be aware that one of the things that I really appreciate about my coaches is that they accept my philosophy that being able to improve your brain should be accessible to anyone. So there's also a low-cost model number 2, and the research shows that to change the brain, people should work at least 16 hours over 8 weeks. So 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week. This would be an excellent program for seniors or those who don't have as much income because you could work in a group. And so what we think, based on what we've done and the way we've worked, and I've been doing this for 17 years, is that if you work at least 30 minutes a day of those 4 days with cognitive skills, that you can achieve results. It's not going to be as high as an hour a day, 5 days a week for 12 straight weeks, but you can get some results in 8 weeks. So what would you do? 15 minutes of maintaining brains every day at home. 30 minutes of training with the coach for 4 days. At home, walking with weights, with nutrition, increasing omega-3s, eliminating trans fats. There's a lot out there on how to have a brain-healthy diet. And there would be no pre and post training. Well, I'm doing something very, very similar right now. I am working with a group of people. It's open community brain training. And I work at 3:45 to 4:45 Monday through Friday. So it's an hour, and we get together in a room, and Sometimes I break them into smaller groups. Sometimes we work all together. Sometimes we're saying something different all at the same time. We're playing games. We're having a good time. I started this in January, and people are having mid-January, and people are noticing changes. They're mostly older people, but not all. And they're noticing that they can process faster, they can process more information. Uh, Somebody noticed their vision got better. Um, People have noticed that they're calmer. And somebody said that it's less frequent that she'll walk into another room and stop and say, "Now, what did I come in here for?" So people are noticing. They're having a good time. We're working as groups. Personally, I'm not charging for this. Okay, this is my community service. Um, but this is something where you could charge by the week and, um, make a decent little income without charging a whole lot of money and by having a whole group. So you wonder, okay, you heard a little bit about what I just said, but does it really work? Well, we've had over 70 coaches that have graduated. And here are the results from the first 64 coaches. Their average age was 49. The average amount of that their cognitive scores improved, it's measured in percentile points. So that means that you can get as high as a 99th percentile or as low as a first percentile. And average would be 50th percentile. So for all of them, they averaged an increase of 8.5 percentile points. And really, that's huge. Their average auditory memory increased by over 12 percentile points, long-term memory over 10, reasoning skills 10 percentile points, word attack, which is the ability to sound out a nonsense word, even though we did not teach any code, meaning we didn't teach that IGH is the sound I, but what we did teach is phonemic awareness skills, like how to blend, which is taking sounds and putting them together, how to segment, which is taking a word and breaking it into sounds, how to manipulate sounds, like pulling sounds out, putting sounds in, replacing sounds, and some rapid automatic naming. Their word attack skills went up by over 10 percentile points. What's interesting is in every area, on the average, there was an increase. But not each individual has an increase. Sometimes people on the other end, on their post-test, they might be having a bad day. They might have been worried about taking this test and not slept well the night before or something like that. For some reason, their scores went down. Now, this is typical. Any student, when they're taking a test, it's a snapshot of how they are doing at that time. And not everybody shows up with exactly where their brain is, because we get tired. Sometimes one skill is better than another one day, but then the other skill is better this other day. You never know. So testing is not it's not a final answer. But when you take a significant amount of people and you average them, that you can rely on. So these are pretty impressive. They impressed me a ton. I was really, really happy to see how well the program performed. And these are on people who are over 40, they're almost 50 on average. So my thought about kids, because a lot of you come to me for help with kids, whether it's your own children or you want to train other people's children. My thought is, if you can, if you can see these results on a middle-aged brain or on 70 middle-aged brains, just imagine what the results could be on a very supple and young brain that children have. So, the advantages of this program, everybody wins. New coaches, you get to improve your own brain. People are so excited at the end because they realize that work is easier, that life is easier, that parenting is easier, because their brain is working more efficiently. New coaches get a good income. Okay, so we're looking at being able to make some money at this. Students get an improved brain for less, less than they can get elsewhere. I mentioned so far one franchise that does brain training, but there's also a franchise that does reflexes and some other things, and they charge a lot too. They charge $6,000 for 3 months. So we're looking at a much better way to help the world, not just a few children, but help the world. So we will create marketing materials for you. We have them where you just have to fill in your information, get them printed. And we have a list of coaches on our site. A couple of other things when you graduate. Many times a year, usually about 10 times a year, I do a graduated coaches webinar. I will take a topic that is of interest to everybody and go in depth. And that way also there's time for question and answer because you're out there, you're helping people. You want to know what to do. And that brings up one other thing. Every single week while you're going through training, we have 2 support calls. So we're not asking you to try and be accountable to yourself. I know I can't do that, but I can be accountable to somebody else. And so each week you have your choice of 2 different times. And we've made them at times that hopefully will work no matter where you are in the world. So we also have opened that up to graduated coaches. They can sign up for advanced training, which includes additional training plus a year-long ability to see the same materials that you're seeing for the period that you are going through the training. So we've had a few of our graduated coaches come on every few weeks just to give us updates on the students that they're working with, and also to ask questions so that they can be the most effective coaches. And that's what we want. We're in this for you. We're in this for your students. That's why we're here. And we want to give people from all over the world hope. So, Bob, I'm going to unmute you so that you can take it from here. That's interesting. Bob, it said that an audio pin was sent to you.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Perfect. So thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. There was just one little thing I wanted to add is how we do offer informative webinars each month to our graduated coaches specifically. And it's also a way to keep in touch with them a different way rather than just having them join our support calls. Because that's what we're here for, is we're here for help, and we like to keep in touch with everyone. But let me just go through how to sign up for the brain advancement training. The easiest way to do this would be going straight to our website, pyramidofpotential.com. Right at the top, you will see the Pop Academy link. It should be right next to the home link. And once you click that, you can scroll down a little bit and you will see the brain advancement training with a button to sign up here. That will open up another link and take you to the sign up where you would click register now. When you click that, be sure to enter in the coupon code of FEB18, all lowercase, to get that $100 discount.
Excellent. And Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, but they get immediate access to the course. Is that right?
That is correct. You will get a welcome letter with directions on how to start and the materials list, signing up for the listening therapy and the vision therapy. You will need to send me some information for your pre-test for the Gibson test. And if you do see that, you will, I believe it pops up with a date of birth and a zip code option. I just need that information to get you started. And if there is a little bit of delay, there is no worry. I added on a whole extra month just in case, because I know that there can be scheduling conflicts, and sometimes something comes up and puts you a day behind, a week behind. But that's in there so that there is no worries, and you can just join us in a support call, let us know what's going on, and we can fix it right then.
Super. So that's our presentation for tonight. So you can use the chat box. I'm not sure why you're not. I will unmute everybody. And if you've got questions, try speaking and maybe we'll hear you, I hope. So I am not hearing anybody. If you are trying to talk and I haven't heard you, please use the chat box to write your question. Well, it sounds like that's the end of our webinar tonight. I thank you so much for coming. Make sure and email Bob, text him, call him if you've got questions. He is the one who takes care of all the signups. Once you are signed up, I will be on those weekly support calls along with Bob to answer all of your questions. And I think one of the things that people have appreciated the most is that through those support calls, it's basically individualized training. You are getting your answers to your questions. And some people do this so that they can get training for their kids. And so they ask their questions while they're working with their kids as well. It's it's really nice that way. It's something we highly encourage. This is to help you, help others, and help yourself. We've had a couple people who have had amazing results. One who had had a traumatic brain injury. She went through it, and by the end, she not only regained the ability for good auditory processing, but she had and the ability to have a conversation. But she also was able to do something that she had never been able to do before in her life, um, and that was to be able to listen to a book on tape, remember it, and discuss it with her husband. So, she went way beyond just repairing what had happened. And this was 8 years after her accident. And another person joined and went through this who had severe Lyme disease. And there were he and his wife were doing many things to help him out, to regain what he had lost. But one of the things was going through the brain training. And we could tell just on the phone how his voice was peppier and faster and more in a conversational tone, whereas before it had been slower. So various people have come on and trained with us, gotten help for themselves. It's amazing. Okay, so let me say, what is the oldest age coach that went through the training? The oldest. Did we get somebody in their 70s? I know we got plenty in the 60s. The woman with the traumatic brain injury is in her 60s. If I could go look. Let me go look. Let me see, was there any other question before that? Yeah, no. Let me go look, because this is fascinating. All righty, hold on, because it's here. And I can just zoom through their ages. Seeing a lot of 40s and 50s. They're 63, 62, 65, 62, 60, 60, 59, 63. So, obviously a lot less than just those, but where the ages were lower. But anyway, yeah, the youngest was in 30s. I don't think we had anybody who was in their 20s yet. Any other questions? Well then, thank you very much, everybody, for coming. And please do get in touch with us with anything that you need. And I hope to see you on a support call within the next week. That would just be awesome, because it's one of my favorite things to do. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.